For once, let's allow the elders, our cultures, to be the one enriching our legislation. When we talk about intellectual property rights, who is better to define how intellectual property rights are being violated than the Kamba elders or the Maasai elders? It is only them. And that is why I insist that they must be in this board to make the decision. I want to plead with the majority leader here that we build consensus in bringing amendments. I'll be amending section 15, adding section 15A. I'll also be amending section 8 of the bill in terms of representation. Section 15, my input will be on cultural corridors. You know, if BBI would have seen the light of day, a lot of things would have really, really benefited this nation. One of my proposals for the BBI was to set up a 10-kilometer corridor from the Maasai Mara gates, like, for instance, a Sekenani gate. You put a 10-kilometer corridor where zero development happens. Zero development. Currently, we face a lot of human-wildlife conflict because a lot of people who have now come in and bought land from our people have now converted a land which had been set aside as a corridor for grazing into huge mansions. You know, they fenced the land. Before, the land was not fenced. So we need to recognize those cultural corridors and keep them and support the community so that they are not left behind. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support, and I really would like to ask the Secretariat to ensure that I don't forget to bring those amendments. Those amendments are very key. So I would like to request the Secretariat to work with me from today, Mr. Speaker, so that we bring those amendments. And this bill, majority leader should not go without those amendments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Maasai Stewart, Minority Leader.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, pia mimi nataka kujiunga na ndugu zangu wote ambao wamechangia hii bill ama hii sheria ambayo imeletwa kutoka kwa Bunge la Kitaifa. Kwanza nataka kutoa kongole kwa Bunge la Kitaifa kwa kuleta hii bill wakati muhimu sana ambao ilikuwa inahitajika. Bwana Spika, bili hii ambayo ni bili ya uasili, yaani ile tunaita cultural bill, uasili wetu kama wa Kenya, ni bili ambayo mimi naona ni muhimu sana katika bili zote ambazo tumeweza kuzipitisha katika hii bunge. Bwana Spika, wahenga walisema mwacha asili ni mtumwa. Na sisi kama wa asili hatuwezi kuacha asili zetu.
Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono sana bili hii ya uasili. Bwana Spika, utakumbuka kwamba zamani sisi kama wa Kenya ama wa Afrika, hii Afrika, bara la Afrika lilikuwa kama uwanja wa mpira kwa serikali za Ulaya, hususan Waingereza na Waamerika na wa Portugal. Waliweza kufika sehemu hizi na wakachukua ndugu zetu ama baba zetu. Mpaka hivi sasa ukiangalia katika hizo nchi utaona ya kwamba kuna watu weusi zaidi. Na hata kulikuwa na mwimbaji mmoja maarufu sana, alikuwa akiitwa Bob Marley kutoka huko Jamaica. Alikuwa akisema kwamba ikiwa wewe ni uko na rangi nyeusi, basi fahamu ya kwamba wewe ni Mwafrika. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, ni kwamba Waafrika wametapakaa katika ulimwengu wote, kwa sababu ukienda Jamaica utapata watu weusi, ukienda Amerika utapata watu weusi, siku hizi hata ukienda Ujerumani pia utapata watu weusi, na kila mahali wametapakaa. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, jambo ambalo pengine limenifurahisha ni kuona kwamba Wakamba leo ndio nimejua wako katika Paraguay. Kwa hiyo natumaini na vile walikwenda na hivyo vitu vyao vyote huko wakajifundisha na hawakuacha hiyo asili. Siku moja nitakapopata nafasi, na hivi sasa niko na nia kubwa ya pia kuweza kuona kwamba Wamijikenda wako wapi katika ulimwengu huu. Bwana Spika, nikiweza kuchangia, kuna vile vigango. Vigango ni zile zamani sisi vitu ambavyo tulikuwa tunategemea kujitambulisha, ambavyo pengine vilikuwa vinatumiwa kwa uganga, vingine vilikuwa vinatumiwa kwa sababu vimechongwa zinawekwa. Kuna vingine ambavyo pia Bwana Spika vilikuwa vimetengenezwa kuona kwamba pengine hakuna shetani ama kitu kibaya chochote kinaweza kudhuru wakati maafa ama janga limetokea. Hivyo vigango vinawekwa hapo, na hivi mpaka kufikia hivi sasa vigango vingi sana vilichukuliwa katika Kilifi na havijarudi. Na ingekuwa muhimu pia kama vigango hivyo vingeweza kutambuliwa na kuregeshwa, na zile nchi ambazo wako na hivyo vigango haviwafai saa hizi, ingekuwa wanaviregesha kwenye huku Afrika, kwenye nchi ambazo walivichukua hao wazungu wakati huo. Bwana Spika, bili hii pia ni muhimu sana, kwa sababu tumesema hapo awali, ukiwacha asili wewe utakuwa mtumwa. Ni kwamba kama Wamijikenda tuko na sherehe zetu ambazo tunazifanya za kiasili. Wakati mtoto akizaliwa ni wa kiume ama ni wa kike, tunaona kwamba akizaliwa mume, wazee ukaa, kina mama wanakaa, wanapika chakula, wazee wanakunywa ile vitu zao pale wakisherehekea mtoto wa kike, kama pombe ya mnazi, tunaketi chini, wazee wanakunywa hiyo na wanafurahi na wanazidi kuomba Mungu kiasili ya kwamba sasa kizolo mtoto wa kike tumepata mali, kwa sababu akichukuliwa tutapata dowry. Huko uzunguni hakuna kitu kama hicho. Kwa hiyo culture kama hizo ni asili kama hizo ni muhimu kwetu. Ukizaa mvulana umezaa nguzo ama ngome kwa familia, na atakuwa ni familia kwa kila mtu katika hicho kijiji ama eneo hilo. Bwana Spika, mimi nataka pia kusema ya kwamba tuko na uasili wetu, na ile kama alivyotangulia kusema ndugu yangu kule Bomas of Kenya. Kawaida tunaona mbari zote ama makabila yote ambayo yako ndani ya taifa letu la Kenya, tunaongea lugha mbalimbali kama Wakisii alivyosema, Wakalenjin, Wakamba, Wamijikenda, wote kutoka sehemu mbalimbali. Bwana Spika, huwa tukienda kule Bomas of Kenya tunaona ya kwamba makabila yote pale, jinsi ya vile nyumba zinavyotengenezwa, ili sasa kwa sababu serikali yetu inafanya marekebisho, ingekuwa muhimu kuona kabila zote 40, sijui na ngapi sasa imefika 42, ndio tunastambua kama kabila. Kwa hiyo kila kabila pale, hata wale wa Makonde ambao walikubaliwa juzi, hata wale Wahindi ambao pia walikubaliwa juzi, wamekuwa kabila moja lao, pia hao waweze kuwekewa asili zao pale ndani, ili tukienda kama watoto wetu wakienda kule, watu wengine wakienda kule, wanaona kwamba hapa Bomas of Kenya ndio kuna ile tunaita kama cultural center ama mahali pa utamaduni wetu na uasili wetu wa Kenya. Vile vile Bwana Spika, nataka kuona
nataka kusema kwamba bili hii nimeisoma kwa makini sana hapa, lakini shida ya hii bili ni kwamba kidogo tumepita mpaka na kuweza kumpatia waziri wa mambo ya asili mamlaka mengi sana. Bwana Spika, ukiangalia kama kule kwetu kuna wale wazee wa kaya. Wazee wa kaya wanayo mamlaka, lakini mamlaka yao pia si mengi. Tungependa kwamba hizi mamlaka ambayo yamepewa waziri ambaye atakuwa anaweza kumiliki hii wizara ya utamaduni, basi asipewe mamlaka mengi sana kama vile inavyoonekana hapa. Mengine mamlaka kama haya yapelekwe kwa wazee wa kaya kulinganishana na vile ambavyo tunaona, ama pia vile vile yapelekwe kwa serikali zetu za county. Ukiangalia sana, ukisoma hii bill utaona kwamba kipengele cha 5, cha 6, cha 9, cha 11, cha 12, 13, 14, hatimaye kipengele cha 15 kimeweza kumpatia waziri mamlaka mengi sana juu ya kukata shauri vile hali ya utamaduni itakavyoendeshwa katika sheria hii. Kwa hiyo tunasema kuna nia ya kwamba kwa maoni yangu naona kwamba asipewe mamlaka vile ambavyo hii bill iko. Kwa hiyo itabidi wakati fulani tuifanyie marekebisho ili iweze kufanana na asilia za wale watu ambao wanahusika katika hizi county na zile madhehebu yote ya makabila mbalimbali yaliyopo. Bwana Spika, nashukuru kwa kunipa nafasi hii. Asante sana.
Senator Ngeno Maletia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise to contribute to this culture bill, something that I'm very passionate and proud of, because I have served as a Commonwealth ambassador when I was reigning as Miss Commonwealth Kenya, and I served as a culture ambassador for the Commonwealth at large. And that continues to make me very proud to always speak and represent our beautiful culture within and without. Mr. Speaker, and sometimes I think I come from one of the most intricate cultures in Kenya, a culture that for a very long time has been held and applauded as the pride of Kenya, the Ma culture. And Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that the Ma in Kenya span over 10 counties. And yet, I agree with my brother, Senator Ledama, that we have been marginalized extremely for a very long time. It is very shameful, Mr. Speaker, that the culture that is upheld as the pride of Kenya globally in the face of Kenya still faces serious discrimination and marginalization within our borders. Mr. Speaker, sometimes I look at our history and the history of Kenya at large. There is a lot of misinformation that has reshaped our history, consequently affecting our culture. Mr. Speaker, what the history we depend on today and we pass down to our young generations in school is the history that was written by the white man, the British, the colonialist. And they took away the most prized possessions and parts of our culture, leaving a shell and a scale behind. That is why you see a lot of Kenyan communities with with very diluted or almost extinct culture, because in the name of embracing modernity. Mr. Speaker, I remember one national leader, or whom I thought so, at one point alleging that we should not touch Mount Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, there is a need to know that Mount Kenya actually belongs to the Maasai, to the Ma. That is why the peaks of Mount Kenya are named after our kings, Olonana, Mbatian, and the rest. They are buried there. So this means Mount Kenya is our heritage. If anybody should say it should not be touched, it should be the Maasai, Mr. Speaker. And alongside with that, there is also another misrepresentation in our history about the Maasai collaborating with the colonizers. Mr. Speaker, from history passed down to me by my great-grandfathers who are leading the battlefront, in fact, they speak of being asked to pull huge trailers and trucks that belong to the colonialists using their pierced earlobes. How does that sound like a collaborator, Mr. Speaker? Again, there is a history of traces of the Maasai everywhere, and as a good student of history, I became very curious about history when I was in Form 2, and I was this very restless child in school, trying to dig more than what is being taught in school. And it is here that I discovered the Nilotes and Kushites arrived in Kenya way before. So if anybody, before the Bantus came from the Congo forest, if anybody should play a central role in determining our culture and rewriting the true and proper history of Kenya, it should be these two groups of people. Mr. Speaker, and I love our beautiful country because Kenya is a diverse country with over 70 different ethnic communities with very diverse and beautiful cultures. The Ma, for example, are recognized through our intricate beadwork. Mr. Speaker, I am a member of a group of the Ma that has tried to get a patented license for our beads, a copyright for us to own our beads and our shuka. Shockingly, Mr. Speaker, these beads and shukas are owned by the Chinese and patented by the Chinese. Mr. Speaker, the first trace of beads and beadwork globally is in Israel. And this was over 120,000 years, where the Israelite people, the Israelites would make beads from clay, from shell, from seeds of trees and bones, Mr. Speaker. The second, and I believe Israel is in Africa, the second trace of beads is in Egypt, around 5,000 BCE. And here they would make beads using clay. I, Hezena, growing up and properly raised as a Samburu girl in the village, I remember when we were young, before it was easy to access the cities and buy the glass beads from China, we were taught as a young Samburu girl, you are raised to make your own individual beads. And we would melt plastic, and there's a way we make beads from plastic. There are special seeds from trees that we use to make beads. But at what point did these Chinese overtake us that they patent something that they also know belongs to Africa? We need to do something about this collectively, not just as a country, but as Africa at large. We need to take back our rights and our heritage. Mr. Speaker, the Maasai have named almost every town in Kenya. Nairobi, for example, Nairobi and Kare, the cold waters. KICC, for instance, used to be the watering ground for the Maasai livestock. State House, where our president stays, used to be the Manyata, or what we call the Boma. That is the shelter for our cows. Mr. Speaker, misinformation has continually dented the rights of the Ma community across Kenya. And there is need to include this community, especially the elders, the bestorers of our national heritage, when national conversations about our heritage and culture are being held. The Njuri Njeke need to be part of this. The Maasai Council of Elders, which is a very organized body, needs to be included to ensure that there is no more continuous exploitation of our people while the world prides with our culture. There is need to channel resources for these purposes. Mr. Speaker, we must give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. When it comes to corporates, we have seen a lot of our photos of our women being exploited, even by our national carrier, the Kenya Airways. The lady I see there has existed in the poster for years. I am very sure if she's a Maasai, she has not been paid her dues. Yet as a former model, Mr. Speaker, I know there is a budget for somebody to use your face for commercial purposes. Mr. Speaker, when it also comes to government institutions, we have the Bomas of Kenya, which we have all agreed should be the melting point for all our Kenyan cultures. I am so embarrassed, Mr. Speaker, that the Bomas of Kenya has women from other Bantu communities dancing as Maasai women, when these women could actually represent their culture and get the Maasai women to represent their culture. What did this lead to? At one time, there was a Dubai Expo where Bomas of Kenya sent representatives together with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. And to my shock, I saw women jumping in Dubai, dressed in a Maasai woman's regalia. My culture, Mr. Speaker, does not allow me as a Ma woman to jump. And that is misinformation and misrepresentation and also cultural appropriation, Mr. Speaker. There was a time the Vogue, one of the largest fashion firm, used women from Achas Samburu as models, these tall, exotic, naturally beautiful, exotic women. They used them on the cover. I am sure if it was a model who's well informed about the use of her image for commercial purposes, they would have paid a lot. But what did they do? They flew their first-class flight down to Africa to exploit our women, taking their photos because they could not pay anything. And they knew they did not have this information to be able to be paid as a model to appear in Vogue. And Mr. Speaker, just for you to know, to appear in Vogue, you have to be paid millions of money as a model. So they couldn't go for Kendall Jenner. They chose our local women so that they can exploit them for free. This needs to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, there is also bits of our culture that are being misrepresented locally and globally. And they are very beautiful parts of our culture that I would love to applaud. When it comes to polygamy, for example, people just talk about, oh, you Samburus, Maasais are marrying too many wives, but they have no clue that everything in our community is structured from marriage to polygamy to death to divorce, everything. They are very intricate parts of our culture that I will just wish to tell my fellow Kenyans. If they watch us doing it, they should just applaud it from a distance and say, that is fine. For example, a poor man cannot be polygamous in our community. You have to have the proper resources, the right resources, to be able to satisfy both 1 or 20 women. And each must be economically strengthened, just as the other. So it's no cause to say that our people are poor because they are marrying too much. You will never find a poor man who is taking another wife. We have a beautiful parts of our culture, especially when it comes to the circumcision of boys, Mr. Speaker. It is very hard to get a Maasai man who has gone through the proper rites of passage, behaving in a certain way. Why? It's a whole process for men to go through circumcision. They go, first of all, to fetch water. It's a special event. They go collect gum, Arabica from trees. It's a special event. This whole time, they are taken to the forest and taught about how to behave like men and graduate from boyhood to manhood. And that is why you can find a very young Maasai man who is behaving more manly than a whole man from another community, Mr. Speaker. And when it comes also to the beadwork, we have heard about something called bidding for girls. But let me just take this opportunity today to explain what that means. While there are instances of early child marriages, it is a very streamlined process in the sense that it's been a battle between the authorities and our cultural custodians to ensure that child marriage is eradicated in Samburu. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a need to make sure that the two collaborate, the elders and the lawmakers collaborate to make sure that they have a law that is favorable for both parties, in the sense that there are so many communities globally that engage girls at a young age, but this engagement is very streamlined in the sense that you might not have intimate relations between the girl who is engaged and the man who is engaged. Because in our culture, during the engagement process, there should not be any intimacy between the two partners. In fact, if a girl is too young, the mother-in-law has to take care of that child or that girl until she comes of age. Sometimes when she's past the age of 18 and she's old enough to carry a baby.
Mr. Speaker, there is also the beautiful part where women are the custodians of praying for the community in the Samburu culture. The work of praying for a community is for a Samburu woman. It is very hard to get a Samburu woman who is heartless, in the sense that they believe that God listens to the prayers of a woman. Probably that is why Jesus Christ had to come to earth through a woman. Mr. Speaker, we have Samburu women who go to the mountains to pray for the rain. And miraculously, every time they do this, we always have rain. Mr. Speaker, there are also instances of abuse of our culture, misrepresentation and disrespect to our culture. We have many communities in Kenya have lost touch with their culture. There are many communities we know. We might say we have cultures, but some of them we are just seeing a resuscitation of dead cultures, of which we greatly applaud. Some vices like LGBTQ, Mr. Speaker, things like GBV. If you go back to history, most African cultures are completely against these things. Men today have diverted from their sole role of protection and providing. What are we finding today? People who have no shame that they can actually beat and kill their wives just because they are a weaker gender. A lot of times when you do a proper investigation, and these people come to social media to hang out their dirty linen, a lot of times when you do a proper background check, Mr. Speaker, there is always a problem with the history and origin of that person, especially how they were raised. There are always some loopholes as far as how this person was brought up. Either they were brought up without any culture or social norms that they were told this is a red line, you must not go beyond this. Or sometimes you might find that none of the parents even bothered to teach these people that this is how you do. And this is why I greatly appreciate my late party leader, Baba Raila Odinga. Because I remember one time some people were trying to malign my name for some useless things, Mr. Speaker, and disrespecting the fact that I had utmost honor for the elders of my community. And I have no apologies for listening to their advice, by the way. And when I went to see my party leader, all he told me is that, my daughter, don't worry, because I know the Maasai culture. I know a Maa girl would never do that. And that really encouraged me. And I believe this is why he was able to interact with everybody, both in opposition and in government. Because first of all, he knew a person's identity, character, and personality are greatly shaped by their culture and how they were brought up. Many people today live with boundaries as in respect of how they were brought up. Mr. Speaker, we have issues to do with another social vice is extravagance. We have seen cultures here that are prioritizing too much money during marriages. You are telling somebody's son to bring 4 million, 5 million to marry your daughter. What for? Are you purchasing this girl, or are you supposed to give your girl to somebody who will honor and respect them? It looks like a trade. But in some cultures, like my culture, the Ma culture, dowry has never changed. Whether you are rich or poor, it is strictly 8 cows in the Samburu, and it depends. There are some things that might be topped up depending on the kind of family the girl comes from. Like in my instance, I come from a royal lineage. So in the event that somebody must marry me, then there is need for a thorough background check for so many things, Mr. Speaker. If that family has a social vice or a debt that they have not taken care of, my family will not accept it. If they have killed somebody, my family will not accept it. If they did not go through the proper rites of passage, my family will not accept it. And this is guided by the culture. And this is why I proudly wear my Samburu beads, to remind people that besides being a tough, powerful, empowered girl, at the core of me is a properly raised Samburu girl who will not take any nonsense. Mr. Speaker, last but not least, there is also need to ensure that when we come up with economic models, we take care of the needs of these pastoral communities. I have had many people telling us, why are you Maasai people following cows? Why are the Samburu following cows? You should have alternative rites of passage. Mr. Speaker, but I do not know any other life that is not directly putting me sentimentally attached to the cow. Mr. Speaker, we cannot talk about where I am today without speaking about how many bulls my father has had to sell for me to go to school. I cannot talk about me today without remembering the hides and skin that I used as my mattress growing up. We cannot talk about who I am today without thinking about the shoes we make from a goat skin or a cow skin directly. Our culture is so intricate in the sense that we and the cow are inseparable. And when the country is making decisions on economic models that we must use, these custodians.
You have successfully used your 20 minutes. Congratulations. Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to start by appreciating the Majority Leader for this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Comes at a very critical time. It's timely, Mr. Speaker. A conversation that is ripe as far as
both our culture, the African beautiful culture that we pride in as an African country, compared to the Western culture, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, I want to put on record that I come from the great culture of the Kamba community, and we pride in different cultural perspectives and policies that before I was born, Mr. Speaker, I found them in existence and have been nurtured and brought up under the same cultures, and hence the product of a Mutinda factor, Mr. Speaker. Culture, Mr. Speaker, is the foundation of a national identity. As a country, Mr. Speaker, we cut across different cultures. more than 42 cultures, Mr. Speaker, that bring together a national unity because we pride in sharing our different cultures, Mr. Speaker. I've just perused the bill, Mr. Speaker, and yes, and I want to agree we have different cultures. That is intangible and tangible cultures, Mr. Speaker. And looking at the tangible cultures, Mr. Speaker, the last time we were in the great county of Busia, I joined the Committee of Trade, and we were able to come across historical sites that apparently, Mr. Speaker, carried a lot of rich culture, but the county had not really put so much in terms of how to generate revenue from these tangible cultural and historical sites, Mr. Speaker. As a community, Mr. Speaker, as a Kamba community, we pride in our artificial artifacts, like, for example, the carvings that the Kamba community does do very well, among many other things, Mr. Speaker. And you know, as Kamba women, Mr. Speaker, as I continue and talk about the intangible the cultural aspects, Mr. Speaker, apart from the arts and the music, as Kamba women, Mr. Speaker, naturally, and I say naturally, biologically, Mr. Speaker, we pride in our nature of womanhood, Mr. Speaker. The married men to the Kamba women can attest, Mr. Speaker, because it is out there, Mr. Speaker. And these are cultures, as Kamba women, we continue priding in and continue teaching our young girls on the same values and ensuring that they continue enhancing the same, Mr. Speaker. The bill has really focused on what the minister is going to do, Mr. Speaker. This House, Mr. Speaker, we support devolution. A lot of responsibility has been left to the minister, unlike being handled at a county level, Mr. Speaker. Section 15, Section 14, Mr. Speaker, has used an English word that talks about or, whereby, where the cabinet secretary or the county government refuses, where does this leave to these two bodies, Mr. Speaker? And I would want the secretary to really put this and note this, that when a bill is much more of what the county can do or the minister can do, then both of them are at leeway to be able to bring out their own perspectives. And so we will be having two bodies that will keep on bringing about their own different views instead of narrowing this particular mandate to the specific body. And that body should not should be none other than the county government through the Department of the Ministry of Trade within that particular specific counties. Some of these decisions should be narrowed. It's only yes that at the point that this has been passed, the minister should be informed, should be aware of what each and every county has been able to settle for as far as their cultural heritage is concerned, Mr. Speaker, because this bill not only brings in the value of the culture that we need to enhance, but also from where we sit as senators who support devolution, and also personally from where I sit as a Vice Chair of Finance and Budget, I look at the revenue, Mr. Speaker, in the end goal, whereby then we are going to ensure that also counties are able to generate value from these both intangible and tangible values of the culture, be it the sites that are in place, enhancing the cultural heritage within those different counties. We need to have where the counties have an opportunity to set aside a small budget to be able to continue showcasing the different traditions and cultures that are within those particular county. The essence of devolution was not only for monies and revenue to just trickle down, but it is a high time that for the different 47 counties to be able to bring out and to nurture out culture. But the question comes in very uniquely. Nairobi County, where I represent, Mr. Speaker, where does it fall? Of course, it's a cosmopolitan, carries across the different cultures. And yes, we are privileged to have different sites and different museums that cut across, that carry the heritage of this country. For example, the Kenya Museum, we have the Karen Brixen, Mr. Speaker. We have the Nairobi National Museum, among others. But these are very few, Mr. Speaker. Across the country, we have very few cultural sites. You find that children from the great county, or students from the great county of Turkana, will have to travel all the way to this city to see the same Kamba cultural pride, you know, all the way they have to travel. Why can that be devolved to that particular region? Because, Mr. Speaker, where we are in 2026, we're having a lot of intermarriage, which is encouraged, Mr. Speaker. And so it becomes better. And history is still a subject in our basic education. So when this is narrowed down at the county level, it brings value, not only as an economic aspect, but also an empowering aspect through the education system, whereby, apart from learning, because we learned a lot of cultures, Mr. Speaker, when we did history, but it is a high time, Mr. Speaker, for us to be able to continue enhancing the culture, to be able to bring it at the education level back to our schools and those particular regions through the counties. All these expenses that parents have to pay, that a trip has to be undertaken all the way from different counties back to Nairobi, and sometimes some parents are not able to afford. So what happens to that kid that has not had an opportunity or a privilege to come and look at the different cultures that they have to be taught and learn in school, Mr. Speaker? Cultures that today, Mr. Speaker, we continue priding in. You know, as a community, we pride in the bow and arrow. The Maasai community will pride in the Maasai attire. As an African, we also pride in the Kitenge attire, among many other things, Mr. Speaker. This goes a long way, Mr. Speaker. But look at where we are. Our children are walking half naked. What's the problem? Have we faded completely away this culture? Have we ignored it? Have we allowed it? At times, when you walk about and you see what our young people and how sometimes they are dressed, Mr. Speaker, it is sad. But when we use this opportunity to instill the cultural values, Mr. Speaker, then it goes a long way for them and becomes much more impactful, Mr. Speaker. The same culture, Mr. Speaker, when we look years back, we've had even traditional medicine, traditional agricultural systems, Mr. Speaker, that have gone a long way, that have also been good, but we've so much invested in what is so much Western, to a point that we've forgotten where we've come from. The current curriculum system has not forgotten, but it is trying to be practical, but not really showing the examples of it. The examples can only be shown that when we allow and continue supporting this bill, it should be nurtured and brought about from the county level. If then this is not done, Mr. Speaker, you find that it will not be able to impact what it needs to impact. It's not about just the revenue aspect of it, Mr. Speaker. It is more into what to instill to our generation. Mr. Speaker, as you're seated there, as a Meru man, Mr. Speaker, you have your culture. Today, you cannot enter your mother's house or your mother's kitchen. It is your culture, because that's how a Meru man has been brought. That is true. But look at our children today, Mr. Speaker. We've given them probably the modern education. What about the culture? If you and me as a parent do not instill the same, where do we leave them? Where do we leave their faith? When we encourage this to go down at the county level and really remove a lot of these ministerial responsibilities, these ministers have got a lot to do. One of our colleagues, Senator Ledama, talked about the 30% for minerals. It's a matter that where I sit, these monies have not, through the Ministry of Finance, they have not been really reimbursed back to these counties. This is what the minister should be able to deal with. But when it comes to the matters of culture, let the counties be able to continue, because at these counties is where we have also the local leaders who automatically understand when we talk about culture, where does it come from? It sits well when these men and women from the different regions are able to continue promoting that particular culture because they've been also given an opportunity, Mr. Speaker. We've seen whereby today as we speak, Mr. Speaker, what saddens me is the fact that we have the law, for example, the Marriage Act 2014, which clearly stipulates that marriage should only take place for 2 over 18 man and woman in this country, Mr. Speaker. This law is in place, but there are cultures, Mr. Speaker, that have still allowed early childhood marriages, Mr. Speaker. So where is the problem? Is the problem the law or the problem the culture, Mr. Speaker? It is at this particular opportunity when we shall allow the cultural bill or to be invested at the county level that shall help, especially the specific counties, Mr. Speaker, looking at Narok, Kajiado, looking at Samburu, and even some parts of Migori where FGM is being practiced today. And the law is very clear, even on matters FGM. FGM is not allowed in this country. But we have cultures that are still undertaking this. The question is, where is the problem? We have, when we say and encourage that these particular local leaders to be part of the leadership of the cultural committee or whatever it is, they are the best ambassadors, Mr. Speaker, today to be able to ensure that this animal called early marriages comes to an end. I mean, I sometimes I don't even understand. Our 70-year-old, has guts, Mr. Speaker. Has guts, Mr. Speaker, to put a 10-year-old in bed. It's a shame. And then we want to say it is culture, Mr. Speaker. How parents would agree to let their beautiful God-given daughter, who's created in the image of God, Mr. Speaker, to undergo a knife cutting in the name of FGM, in the name of culture, Mr. Speaker. Where do you leave that part? For this conversation, for the Marriage Act in terms of early childhood marriage, and the Child Act, Mr. Speaker, of 2022 that protects children, Mr. Speaker. It is this cultural bill that is going to have an impact on ensuring the safety of the girl child, Mr. Speaker, is protected, Mr. Speaker, because the law is very clear. I've had one of our colleagues talk about culture.
I'm happy Senator Tobiko is still around in this house because I've had a submission that some cultures, you cannot marry a woman if then your history is tainted or has got some question marks, Mr. Speaker.
Then I ask, where is the boy child, Mr. Speaker? We've empowered the girl child so much and left the life and the future of the boy child at risk. Why am I saying this, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I believe you are a father of sons. And then, you've shown me the finger of 3. Congratulations. You can imagine your son having dated this particular beautiful girl for years and years. And in the end result, and then in Nairobi we say, Murembo amekula fair. For the longest period of time. And then eventually you tell this boy child, you know what, boy? I mean, this cannot continue because in your family, this happened. But then why did you not tell me in advance? Why did you not tell me so that this cannot continue? I've invested so much, my time, my money, my everything to you. And then in the end result, you tell me. I mean, if these cultures, some of them are like this, and it's good we're having this conversation so as to know, Mr. Speaker. I'm a mother too. I would not want lack of this knowledge. So it is prominent, it is key. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, it is going to give the counties an on-source revenue maximization when these cultural sites are invested in these different counties. It would be a So that when we are doing division of revenue, I mean, we are going to look at the different on-source revenues for this particular country. And of course, as I speak, because I sit in the finance committee, I'm always looking, not in the finance committee, Mr. Speaker, you know I'm a businesswoman. So I will always look at everything on how this 1 shilling is going to make another 2 shillings. And of course, I'm from the city. We didn't come here to count cars. We need to make revenue. So, of course, I look at this bill giving an opportunity to counties to be able to maximize on their own revenue. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, very quickly, first I want to appreciate the Meru culture, Mr. Speaker, and I'm a proud, and I continue being a proud daughter of the Kamba community. So much I'd like to encourage men to settle on the women from the Kamba community. I think you will not have made any mistake. And with those many and few, as I conclude 14 and 15, Mr. Speaker, let the Secretariat be able to note that we are really not agreeing on the issue of the minister taking a lot of these responsibilities that should be done in at the county level. With those many, asanteni sana, I submit.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear you talk about the mail, but I'm a bit worried. Okay. We have noted that with a lot of concern. Senator Wakwabubi Consolata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to contribute towards this culture bill sponsored by...
Just a minute, Senator Consolata. Just a minute. Approve the chair. Honorable Senators, we are suspending the sitting for 3 minutes.
And then we'll be back, Senator Consolata, to proceed.